Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Hi, myself Sonny Mohanty. I'm the VP of APAC for Nodek. So Nodek is the presenting sponsor, and I'm very excited to be here at World Blockchain Summit. This is day 2, and still I see a lot of energy in the room. And the excitement doesn't stop, because I'm going to be speaking to another woman in the room, and she's a powerhouse. I mean, I have read about her, but we're going to listen it from her, actually. So today's panel is on women in blockchain, pioneering the future of decentralized technologies. And here we go. Let's talk to Fiona Murray, who is the head of APAC Sales for Ripple. Fiona, how are you today?
Great, Sonny. Thanks so much for the introduction. And yeah, it's great to be here. And hopefully what we can do together is inspire that next generation too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so my first question to Fiona is, Fiona, let me just understand your journey into the blockchain space. Were you always in the blockchain space, or what made you to come to this space?
That's very kind of you, because I think what you're suggesting is that I look very young, and that this must be my first career, my first job. No, actually, so my background and my career is in technology. I've worked for several large tech companies, Fireside, most recently Oracle in the key accounts team based in London. And what I saw at Oracle was that big shift from on-premise technology to cloud services. And that was a sea change. If you think about the impact that moving to cloud had on individuals, on organizations, on small businesses starting up, where infrastructure was no longer a barrier, that changed the way that individuals and organizations could interact with technology. That was monumental to me. And then I got a call from Ripple one day, and we, Sonny and I were talking about our relative journeys into blockchain. I didn't know who Ripple was at the time when they called me. This was nearly 6 years ago. We're a bit better known now. And really, I was so impressed by their vision of the Internet of Value, that next sea change of digitizing value, interacting with, completely changing the way that we interact with money, with payments, and I thought, what a great opportunity to be part of that next sea change. So I joined in London, and 3 years later, they moved me out to Singapore to run APAC Sales, and haven't looked back.
Wow, amazing. So, Fiona, I think you've been lucky in that way. I would think, sorry about that, it's loud. So I think you've been lucky, isn't it? Like, come from a tech background, you're dealing with cloud computing, payments, and that was smooth sort of transition into your current role at Ripple. I just want to know, what do you think about the women who do not have that tech background, but are very much ambitious and to venture into blockchain, because blockchain has not been around for many years, as we know, right? So what's your take on sort of how do somebody move into a career in blockchain?
Yeah, thanks for that question. It's something that I spend a lot of time thinking about, because we're underrepresented. We're actually everywhere, by the way. Women are everywhere in blockchain. I'll just name a couple at Ripple. Our president, Monica Long, our CFO, Christina Campbell, in the exchange businesses, Ola Duudin, who's a powerhouse, head of Bitoasis in the Middle East, the largest exchange there. There are actually women everywhere in blockchain, but we are underrepresented. Under about 30% of tech startups, and thus blockchain, are women. So what does that mean for entering the space? It means put your hand up, actually. Very recently, I had an open role, so I was hiring here in Singapore. Within 1 week, we had over 100 applications. How many do you think were women?
Less than 50%?
5. Not 5%, ouch. 5 applications from women.
Oh my God.
In the same period of time. So, this is a strong indication to me that it's not because there aren't enough women out there who are smart, intelligent, risk-taking. It's because we're not necessarily putting ourselves forward sometimes. So one thing I would say is, talk to Sonny, talk to myself. Yes. We're really interested in working with each other and helping each other out, in sharing our experiences, because from the outside, things can look scary. they're not once you're on the inside. And it's our duty to help them. The other thing that I will say is to all my compatriots out there, once you're there, let's be creative about how we encourage others. So one thing that Ripple does with those open roles, I mentioned, 100 applications, only 5 were women. We don't stand still there and just look for the best of those who've applied. What we do is we fill our roster we go through, our recruitment team's amazing. They outreach and they fill the list of candidates with the best in their relative industries, even if it's not a direct like-for-like jump. And that's how we increase our representation.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. I mean, 5 women applied for the role. This is disappointing. So what is Ripple doing? I mean, besides, hiring people, is there any sort of initiatives done by Ripple to encourage women? Because, there's one thing that's a fear factor. Okay, I don't want to be in a space I do not know anything about, right? And there's just a media creating sort of hype, a negative sort of hype, and lack of education as well. So anything Ripple is doing to promote inclusivity at work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, representation is important. I should also mention in Singapore, we're actually 50-50 gender split here in the office, our APAC HQ, which is different from the industry standard, and we're really proud of that. D&I, or diversity and inclusion, is really our lifeblood, and it starts with recruitment. But it has to continue with positive and progressive benefits packages for keeping women and other minorities. We have at Ripple we have 7 ERG, or employee resource groups. Over 50% of our employees worldwide are a member of one of those employee resource groups. What that is a forum to discuss and raise concerns as a group when you're a minority, and it affects so much change. So it starts with recruiting, but it doesn't end there. I must say that from a technology standpoint as well, Ripple is a digital asset-based real-time payments platform. And our whole goal is to focus on utility, on the real life use case to do with digital assets. And so it has to be inclusive. Otherwise, what's the point in building the future of finance? You can't do that for an individual silo. So that's where, technology, people, recruiting, it all comes together. And that's what we're really proud of.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Fiona. Okay, now that you're talking about Ripple and you mentioned a few things about Ripple, Ripple has been news in news as well. XRP has been in news as well. So there are 2 aspects to it. I don't want to go into more details into the SEC, but I would like to know what kind of regulatory framework is required for each country and jurisdiction, and what is Ripple doing to fulfill those sort of criteria to operate in Singapore, Dubai, London, global company because headquartered in US, and what are the challenges you face in US currently, if any?
I was waiting for that question, and I'm happy to comment on it. So, Ripple is a global business, a global payments organization, and it's great to hear earlier on the investor panel that digital assets need to be borderless. We totally agree with that, 100%. With regards to the regulatory framework, Ripple is 90% of our business flows outside of the US, and the majority of that flows through Singapore. So Singapore is really important to us. It's where we've chosen to build our business. We have good news on that front from a regulatory perspective. We've just been granted our in-principle approval for the MPI license, so we're very excited to take that forward and prove that we're here to stay. And you touch on the US there. We've had a very public fight with the SEC, who sued Ripple around XRP, and we are really delighted, actually, to share that the court has found in our favor, and that XRP is not a security as a matter of law. That brings the US closer to being in line with building a clarity and a clear regulatory framework, which is so important for this space. It's one that we've embraced with MAS, with global regulators like in the UK, across the EU, in the UAE, and we're hopeful for positive change in the US too.
Oh, wow. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. We finally won the case, like everybody in the digital asset space, I would say, after that news, when XRP won the case, we thought like everybody win the case. So coming to the digital asset space, it's very nascent, it's early stages as well. Coming back to the women, because there are a lot of aspects in this business as well. It's not only technology, there's compliance, legal, risk. So what should a woman take steps towards to be in the space, to be known in the space, because it's about how known you are, networking, attending networking events like this, so you're known, right? So what are the other steps you think, as per you, like a person or women especially who's looking to move into this technological field, because it looks like it's very complex, you have all these issues with regulators, the technology itself, it's evolving. And it's overwhelming for somebody who is new. Even though you're from Oracle or IBM, it can be overwhelming, right? Because new terminologies and everything. So what are your sort of thoughts? How do we fit into this?
Yeah. I'll share a personal perspective, actually. So, I grew up in Asia. My mom's Chinese. You'd think stereotypically that means quite a conservative background, and oftentimes in careers, many women are looking for this is a stereotype, but looking for that more stable career path or a more flexible one. And when I told my mother that I was going to leave Oracle and a very stable, progressing career there and join a digital asset company called Ripple, she inhaled sharply and said, well, we better talk to your aunties about this. And what I told her was that this technology is going to change the world. So I feel really strongly, if I had the opportunity 30 years back to join Oracle at its insemination, right before they started working with the US government, would I not have chosen to do that? Of course I would have. To be at the heart of that sea change, of course I would have done that. I believe that we need to be part of technologies, frameworks, programs that are shaping the future. So we can't sit back and say, I want the safe route, because that means we're behind the curve. And I would encourage everyone to, men, women, whatever background you're from, minorities, majorities, it's time to think about taking ownership of the future that we're creating and look for allies. So again, the women in crypto, women in blockchain, they're actually very active communities. We're friendly faces right here, very happy to have conversations, reach out on LinkedIn, and happy to talk through what it takes, because actually sometimes it's as simple as saying, I'm interested.
Agreed. All right, coming back to Ripple again, I just want to ask you, what's coming up for Ripple? I mean, we know Ripple is known for payments. What's next?
Oof. We're always moving. So we're an old startup now, and we're very excited that many of the regulatory frameworks around the world have caught up to what we've been saying for a while. There's still a lot of work to be done there, and we really firmly believe in working within regulatory frameworks. So, we're the opposite of anarchists. It's important that money moves safely with certainty. Blockchain helps with that. It also requires protections and clarity of the regulatory landscape, so much more work there. We're also moving into many new tangential spaces, so CBDC is one that you'll hear a lot about. In fact, bringing it back to women, we're working with several central banks around the world. It's amazing how many of their executive sponsors are women who are promoting the adoption of CBDC from within the central banks themselves. So another space to watch. We've got a CBDC program and multiple advisory and technology programs around that. We're also launching Liquidity Hub, which is to buy and sell crypto at the best, at the most efficient rates. So much more to come.
Wow, good to know. Thanks for sharing with us. We're running, obviously conscious of the time. So, in your words, future looks bright for blockchain. So what are the future trends for women, to look forward to? I started my career in 2017. I've seen the ICOs, and then now I see the Web3s, right? So what's the future trends that, coming up?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have some of my team in the room here, and they've heard me say this 1,000 times. If you focus on value and utility, you can't go far wrong. So I believe that place for women is to bring this world back to real world use cases. And when we do that, when we add value to the customers, the individuals, the organizations that we're serving, there's no limit to what we can achieve. So that's where I believe we'll see more women moving forward, making change, and helping the world adopt these new technologies.
Fantastic. So if somebody would like to reach out to you, what's the best possible way to reach out to you?
LinkedIn. Definitely
right.
LinkedIn.
Fiona Murray on LinkedIn if you would like to reach out to her. Any last thoughts before we wrap up this fireside chat? And hope everybody's enjoying it.
Really just a call to action, and that is have conversations, challenge yourself, challenge me, challenge Sonny. I'm volunteering her. Let's look out for each other. So very excited for more conversations.
Thank you, Fiona. Thanks so much for your time
Sonny.
and insights.
Thank you.